Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dumpster Diaries Podcast. I'm Moses Wartooth. This is Justin Allen, and today we have a paramedic by the name of Sabrina Weathers. But first, let's take a message from our sponsors, which are us. So please buy another fucking card game. It's the best damn game on the market. It's better than Cards Against Humanity. And what do you got to say about it?
I mean, the best way to describe it is it's similar to Cards Against Humanity as far as play and user interface and all that stuff, right? But the thing is, this game is way better. It's like Cards Against Humanity on steroids. It is for a mature audience only, obviously. But, I mean, it is a box of laughs at a small price. Only $30.
Yeah, for 650 cards.
Yeah.
And that shit's funny.
And the game is written and designed where there's no dead cards like you see in Cards Against Humanity and stuff like that. So you can actually have, like, longevity in your play. You don't have to just ditch cards and yada, yada, yada. It's worth it, man. And we don't really sponsor or back too much on this show. But this is one of the things that we did get on and stand behind. And we partnered with the guys. And you guys just need to check it out, man. The link is in the description below. Super easy. Once again, it's also mailed from our storage facilities. So no third parties, none of this other crap. It literally has Moses and I's fingerprints on the box when you get them, man. So
yeah, so feel free to use those as you will.
And then we also got to plug Small Price Productions.
That's right. They're bringing comedy to East Texas.
Yeah, especially on the 20th. They have a show at Yellow Rose Canyon.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, and they got some really, really funny people coming out.
And that is in Mount Enterprise, Texas, correct?
Yes, Mount Enterprise, Texas, yeah. So it's going to be a banger show, man. Don't want to give a spoiler alert, but your boy Justin might be doing 5 minutes, maybe open it up, so we'll see what happens with that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
so
been a little while since
was
I've been
it
on
7
stage.
p.m. on June 20th?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
get on out there.
Yeah, and they got a bar and all that stuff. They got cabins you can stay out, you can rent there. I mean, it's a whole massive venue out there. I mean, it's a cool place.
It really is cool.
It really is. But I think that's everything, man. Let's get on to the brass tacks, dude. All right, Sabrina, what's up? I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while, dude.
Heck yeah. What's up?
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah. You nervous?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. It goes away. After like 10 minutes, you just realize it's just us talking in a room. So some people are like, oh yeah, like I can handle this. I'll do this. And think like super like confident people. They're like, I got this, no problem. And then literally it's lights, camera, hostage.
They buckle.
They buckle under
Luckily,
the pressure.
I'm not a confident person anyway.
There you go. So you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's all good.
There it is.
Perfect.
But we wanted to have you on, man, because you're a paramedic, dude. And this is a world that I know nothing about.
Me either.
Well, at least you're honest.
You got to know more than us.
Yeah. So I guess let's start with it, man. So like, tell us a little bit of your history. Like, I mean, where'd you go to school for it? I mean, is it like a 4-year degree? Is it a 2-year degree? Is it just a certification? I mean, how much like on the job training do you need to actually get out there and be rolling around in the paddy wagon or whatever you want to call it?
Well, so it all started when I graduated high school the year of COVID, 2020.
Oh, okay.
Gang.
Yeah.
I did not know what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I call it the before time.
Yeah. But I watched this show that I really liked, Station 19, and was like, you know what? That looks cool. Working on an ambulance. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a difference between EMT basic and paramedic, okay?
Okay.
So your EMT...
That's one thing we wanted to clear. We were talking about
Yeah,
the show.
because I do
We were
not
like,
know the
I thought it
difference.
was the same thing. I thought it was interchangeable.
I did too.
Not at all.
Apparently,
No.
there's a big beef
There is a
between
big
EMTs and
difference.
paramedics.
There's a big difference, and that is derogatory.
That is a slur in my community, and I will not tolerate it.
So the EMT program is 1 semester long through, depending on where you go. I went to Angelina College, so
Usually like a community college kind of thing.
yeah. And there's even like online programs and stuff where you can go through.
Okay.
I don't work like that. My brain, if it's not in front of me, I forget about it.
Yeah.
I feel like doing that strictly online is kind of questionable.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you're in healthcare.
yeah, you're going to come up to me and try to heal me up or do something, and you've only taken online classes?
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
getting a freaking history degree online.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's like, come on, man.
Not
There needs to
Like,
be
Care.
some kind of physical action in there. Like,
don't worry, I got my degree at the University of Phoenix
Yeah.
online. You're in safe hands, sir. Holy crap, he's coding.
Crap. How do you check for a pulse?
So you go to school.
Yes.
And you get your certificate, right?
Yeah.
So now they're like, okay, now you're just dusting the wind, so now you got to find a job, right?
Well-
or did they help you get one?
Well, there's more than just like going to school and getting a certificate. You have to take the national registry, which is, big national test, and then you have to apply for your state certification. And that's just to get your basic. So then paramedic school is another year long, and it's insane, like over 500 hours of clinicals. You're going straight through the whole year. Like January through December, you are going to school. I think we had maybe a 3-week break in there and then a week for Thanksgiving. And that was about it. A lot of clinicals. We did OR clinicals so we could get intubations, labor and delivery clinicals so we can watch babies being born, ICU clinical, ER clinicals, ambulance ride-out clinicals,
It has taken me a while just
everything.
to keep up.
Yeah.
This is like a crash course on the entire healthcare field almost.
Pretty much. You got to learn everything because you're dealing with everything. So at the end of the year, we have what we call capstone, which is our field internship, where you're the lead on the truck. And I think we have like 208 hours just of that you have to get in the month of November. So November was hell for me going through school. So they're 16-hour shifts, so it's 13 days of clinicals.
So what are you working? You working like 70 hours a week?
Pretty much.
God.
It was a lot. So obviously.
And do you get paid doing that?
No, you're not paid through school. I was working where I was doing my clinicals, though.
Slave labor, dude.
I was working where I did my clinicals, so I'd like get off of shift and then immediately go into a clinical and then immediately get off that clinical and go to work. Luckily, I have some friends that live down there that let me stay at their house because I was driving an hour at that point to and from work, which was insane, getting off at 11 o'clock, then going back home, then coming back at 7 a.m. It was crazy. Yeah. So it was a rough time. And then after you finish that, once again, take the national registry, apply for your state cert. But I happened to get my associates in emergency medical services, which you don't have to be a paramedic.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it until it came into the mail. I was like, wait, what? I have my associates? Yeah. Whenever I had changed my career paths for the 4th time, a bunch of those went towards that associates too. So it worked out.
No one really knows what they want to do, and then by the time you figure it out, you're too old to do it anyway. So
yeah.
So that is a lot of education and training to do what you could see as because on the surface level, it seems like it's like, all right, you're throwing someone in the back of an ambulance and you're taking them to a hospital, and then they're going to take care of them at the hospital, right?
Yeah.
But that's a lot of stuff you're dealing with, to get your foot in the door to start. I didn't realize that.
We do a lot more than just drive them to the hospital, too.
Yeah, we're going to get on that, man, for sure. So how long have you been doing it now, man?
I got my EMT basic in 21, I think, and started working in 22.
So you were basically working during the pandemic and all that.
Not really.
Well, you caught the tail end of it.
Tail end of it, yeah.
That's right, yeah, because Governor Abbott decided that COVID can't cross borders. So then he was just like, we're not doing any of this crap.
Yeah, so it was fine.
I was like, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
the mask mandate was over at that point.
Yeah.
So COVID doesn't exist.
Hey, man, I was living in Germany at the time, and that's part of the reason why I got out of the military. And I was like, you know what? Because Germany went crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They went straight Fourth Reich with that stuff, man. They were just they were arresting people in the streets if they were in groups of 2 or more. It just was not a good time, man. And I was like, y'all went overboard. And then I found out there was 2 places in America. There was basically 4 places in the world I could go, okay, that just said, F it. We're going to recommend some stuff, but it's on you. Make the decision. Social distance. Wash your hands. Mask. Yada, yada, yada. So it was Sweden, the Netherlands, Florida, and Texas. And that was really the 4 places I could go, and I'd be like, okay, I can be normal. Dude, because it was so wild over there at the time, man. Because, Germany be such lockdown, and at the time, the borders were still open. And my buddy and I, we weren't even allowed to go. Our employers were like, no, you cannot even, don't even freaking leave your house, right? You go to work, and you come back, and that's it. And But dude, we would peace out like on the weekends. Like we'd drive up to like Amsterdam because I only lived like 2 hours from there. We would I'd be like in a Burger King, like crying, like everything would be normal. Like and I'd be like having a beer in a pub and be like, I like it here, I don't want to leave. And then you go back to like Germany and they're like, like, you know, das is not good.
Literally.
So, I love Germany. Germany has a soft spot.
I love Germany.
I mean, I lived there for 5 years.
I've been 5 times.
All right, so you're doing paramedic for a little while, man. You get into it the tail end of COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what's I don't know how you want to do. You want to get into tell me your wildest stories first, or do you want to like? I mean, I guess really, what's the job like? Okay, like you know, everyone's got like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but what's a paramedic's schedule like? What is their job like? Like, how does it go? I mean, are you there for 24 hours straight, or are you there for...
Well, it really depends the company you work at, because it varies. But my schedule is 48 hours on, so 2 days straight with 96 hours off, so 4 days off. So we're at the station 48 hours. We have beds and stuff if we get the chance to sleep. And, yeah. So, clock in at 8 a.m. We start checking off the truck, checking all of our supplies, the oil, all that stuff, making sure the truck's good to go. Yeah. And then after that, if we can get breakfast, we get breakfast. Because if I'm going to get breakfast, I'm going to do it while at work and not before work, you know? Yeah.
So, is it like, so they kind of give you like a... in between, I would say, like, calls or whatever, like, they kind of give you, like, some leisure downtime, like, hey, relax if you need to. They're not just, like, for 48 hours straight.
I mean, it would depend on the amount of calls, I would assume.
Yeah. Yes. If we're not on a call, like, as long as we're in district, it doesn't matter. Like, we can be sleeping. They want us to sleep to... You know,
be functional.
I don't want some dude driving an ambulance that hasn't slept in 48 hours.
That's happened before. Yeah. We had this one call. It was like the end of our 48, and we're driving, and neither of us remember making it to the call. You're welcome.
It's all delusional. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you like it?
Yeah.
What you do?
I do.
What do you like about it?
I like the crazy shit.
Really?
Like the crazy shit, depending on how crazy we're talking. I mean, like, actually getting to help people is great. That doesn't happen very often, but...
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're out there like, you know, Batman, like, just basically saving lives all the time, like, I'll be back, you know?
No, it's like, hey, I did some meth, my chest hurts. No crap. Don't do meth. Let's go to the hospital. Come on.
Oh, God. Okay, all right. You want to jump into, like, the stories? And, like,
yeah, like, in recent memory, what's, like, the craziest thing that's happened in the past month?
Well, let's see. Not in the past month, but the past few months. We went to this call in the middle of the night on this Crackville, because that's where I work, is Crackville.
All right, so we talking inner city or we talking country?
County.
Like out in the country or we talking inner city, like in the hood? Country. Were you in the ghetto or the country?
The country. I was in the country. In the country. There's not really ghetto hood in the town.
Yeah. The town that shall not be mentioned.
The town where I work.
It's a small Texas town, by the way.
A tiny Texas town. A lot of crackheads. Yeah. Anyways, so we were in the country, in the country, and middle of the night. So, obviously, we're very close. I know my dispatchers pretty well. Got a good relationship with them, because if you want to feel safe, you got to trust the people, you know, that have your lives at hand. Because if I need the police, they're going to be the ones I'm contacting for the police.
Sure. Yeah.
So, got my dispatcher on speed dial. Me and my partner, who I live with, were going to this call, and it literally got dispatched as brain pain. My brain hurts. So I'm texting my dispatcher. I'm like, what in the heck are we going to? Yeah. She's like, I don't know. It sounds like a psych patient. Yeah, a little bit. So show up to this house. Nothing out of the ordinary. We see a lot of houses with floors falling through.
Yeah. So this is like poor rural community area. Yeah.
So knock on the door, and we just hear this lady crying. All right. Open the door. She goes, hello? EMS? Huh? Are y'all SWAT? No, ma'am. we are EMS.
Now, how old is this lady?
I don't know, 40s maybe.
Okay, so she's not like dementia, Alzheimer's.
No.
So just checking that off real quick.
40s, healthy, weird.
Yeah.
No, ma'am, we are not SWAT. Should SWAT be here, though? That's the only question I have right now. And she's like, huh? I didn't call you. I'm like, well, does anyone live here? No, just me. Who called us? I don't know. Okay, well, do you want us? No, get out. Yes, ma'am. So I turn to walk, and she's like, wait! Yes? I love you guys. We bolt out the door. We said, no, thank you. And then we just hear, like, footsteps coming after us, and we're, like, running to the truck, and I call my dispatcher. I'm like, scene is not safe. The scene is not safe. Because that's the one thing they teach you in school is, do you have your PPE, and is the scene safe? Yeah. That's what you need to know before you walk into a scene.
Like, your job isn't to risk your life.
Yeah.
You're not the police.
Exactly. So we're like, no, we're not doing this. We're leaving. And, of course, where we are, like, you have to go all the way down the road and turn around because else you're going to be doing a 31-point turn to get out of there. And we just, like, see the door open. We're like, oh, my God, we're about to die.
So do you think it was just, like, drug-induced psychosis or...
I don't know.
You don't even know.
I have no idea.
So there was no callback after that either?
Nope.
The run of the mill.
Your job was done.
My job was done. I saved them.
So since you service a like rural, we'll call it like a rural community in Texas, what are like the most common calls you get?
Meth.
Like as in methamphetamines, like the drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meth.
Okay. And so is it like overdoses, or people think they're having heart attacks?
People think they're having heart attacks. Yeah.
So, all right, so somebody snorts, shoots, smokes a bunch of meth, and then they feel like their chest is going to explode.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of the most powerful stimulants you could actually ingest. What do you do when you arrive on the scene of that?
What did you do before your chest started hurting? Well, I did some meth. Cool. So I have to, since they have chest pain, run a 12 lead on them, see if they're having what we call a STEMI, which is a myocardial infarction, a heart attack with ST elevation. Because there's a difference between a heart attack with ST elevation and one without, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. So I run a 12 lead. I give aspirin. I give nitro because we treat every chest pain as the potential of being a heart attack. Yeah. And then do an IV if I can get an IV on the meth heads. Sometimes it's a little hard. Don't worry, they tell me where to stick them.
Yeah, they could probably do it better than you.
Yeah, probably.
Here, I got this.
Yeah.
How did you stick it there? Like, you should be a paramedic.
Yeah, for real.
You have no problem getting to this 48-hour shift.
And then
Take it a little easy on the powder, kid.
Literally. Yeah, and then we take them to the hospital. Yeah. That's about it.
So, like, whenever they ingest set amount of meth, are they like, how many of them actually have legitimate issues to go to the hospital? Like, as far as like, are they really that close to ODing and actually injuring themselves, or are they just messed up on the drug and think something's wrong?
They're just messed up most of the time.
So when it comes to like picking up, we'll just call it a case, like a person, like what you catching a case or whatever. Okay, that's
catching a case.
4 versions.
I didn't murder them. I swear.
But you pick someone up and you take them to the hospital. Like, do you ever get closure? Do you get like follow up? Like, do you know what happens to that person, or is it just like, okay, well, the meat sack has been dropped off in Terminal A. Time to get to
See you later.
Yeah, Chili's special happy hours over in 7 minutes, so I need to get there.
It's time to go get some tacos. Yeah. It depends on where we drop them off. So given where we're at, like super bad calls, our local hospital doesn't have a lot of capabilities. They're not a trauma facility. I think they're a level 5, level 4, something like that. They don't have a cath lab. They don't have stroke capabilities. They don't have GI. They don't have neuro. They don't have anything. Basically, all they can do is stabilize. So our closest stroke facility, closest cath lab, closest anything, like trauma center is an hour away, which is south. Sometimes we can come up an hour north for cardiac and stroke, but that's about it. So we use Life Flight a lot with stuff that's like really time sensitive. So like really bad traumas where they need whole blood, like our flight crew, we have a flight crew on our base, like at our station that has whole blood. So traumas and stuff, we call them. With our flight crew, depending on the hospital that they take them to, which is usually the company that they work for, they'll follow up and they'll let us know.
I do not mess with helicopters. Did you know this? Mm-mm. Yeah, this is like a serious, like a real thing. There is no amount of money or no force on this earth that could get me in a helicopter.
Really?
I've seen like 3 of them crash, and I've known like 7 people that have died in them.
Oh.
So if I'm like dying and they're like, we got to life flight this guy, I'm like, you know what? Just kick me in the curb, dude. Kick me to the curb. Like, just leave me in the ditch. Like, all right, because I'm not getting on that thing. You know, yeah. Those things drop out of the sky a lot. Yeah.
Our flight crew's pretty good. They haven't, knock on wood, they haven't dropped out of the sky yet, and I don't think I could handle it if they did, because I know all of them pretty well.
Well, all mine was like military.
I was gonna say it probably helps if there's like not people on the ground firing rockets and small arm fire at helicopters.
No one's shooting any RPGs at them.
Yeah. So like now, like if I became like a billionaire, I would never have like a private helicopter. I wouldn't do it.
Kobe.
Yeah, it happens all the time, dude. And so I'm just like, after seeing that and reading the reports, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, we're not doing any of that crap.
I would love to be on a helicopter working as a paramedic.
No. Have fun with that. No. I'd be having a panic attack on that thing, dude. Well. So, I just want to kind of go through like some scenarios too, man. Do you deal with like a lot of traffic incidences?
Yes.
Like car wrecks, stuff like that?
A lot of car wrecks.
Yeah.
A lot of car wrecks.
Yeah.
Had some really bad car wrecks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like prying doors off of people wondering how they're alive and talking to me.
Really?
Yeah.
So the jaws of life, is that the fire department or is that you guys?
Fire department.
Okay,
fire
cool.
department. I'm like, y'all get it yet?
Yeah.
Is the patient still alive? Cool, this is all you.
Yeah, man. That's like a wild thing to think about. There's things like I personally couldn't do it, man, because I was like traumatized as a kid. Okay.
Me too. Yeah. That's
So I used to, watch like cable television, right? And back before streaming was like a thing.
Cable.
Yeah. Oh, you broke piece of crap. You peasant. And there was this show that used to be called, like, it was called like ER or whatever. It used to come on TV, and it was just like camera crews just in an emergency room, like operating on like trauma victims, dude. Like the most random stuff you could imagine. Like some dude just comes in, and is like, "Yeah, I got a skill saw stuck in my femur. Can we get this out?" Like things like that, right? And so it just traumatized me so much. And there's this one scene, I don't even want to describe it, because I think I'll start gagging. And like, so ever since then, I do not mess with medical stuff. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be around it. I'm one of those dudes, my pulse and blood pressure goes up when I go into a doctor's office. Because I immediately just assume they're going to tell me I'm going to die. like just straight up. They're like, yeah, dude, like you're an inch from death. I don't even know how you actually made it to my office. To be surprising, to be quite honest with you. So I'm always just waiting for those news, But every time I get the blood work done, for the most part, they're like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, you sure? Because everything hurts. I don't know.
That's just called being a senior citizen.
Yeah.
Because you watched cable TV.
34, man. I got my whole life ahead of me. I'm only halfway to 68.
Midlife crisis.
1 foot in the grave.
So I think another thing, dude, the reason why I probably couldn't do what you do is one thing that would make me sad would be like kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the worst one. We had a really, really bad kid call 3 days before Christmas. And me and my partner remember this day vividly. It was so bad. Young teenager, preteen, shot himself in the head with a 9mm. 3 days before Christmas. Worst call I've ever ran in my life.
Dead on arrival?
No. Still alive, still breathing. And I think that was the worst part. I've had gunshots and stuff, but usually they're dead.
Yeah.
Or they're not dead at all, and it's like somewhere like a leg or something. A gunshot's bad, but like nothing like this. His brain was coming out of his head. And me and my partner,
Jesus.
So like we can tell you walking into the house, seeing this kid, and it felt like we were frozen. We looked at our call times, and we weren't on scene for more than 10 minutes. But it felt like I was staring at this kid for like 10 minutes. Yeah. Just watching him, he'd snore, straight up snoring respirations. Like they tell you in school, brain injuries, you're going to see snoring respirations. Yeah. I've never seen it. Like this kid's literally and I'm like, oh my God. So we immediately, at this point, since he's alive, we know he's brain dead, but you got to save him. he's a kid. So my partner immediately calls for a helicopter because we're like, hell no, we're not taking this by ground. I'm not riding in the back with an hour with this because I'm scared.
Yeah.
And we have obviously PD on scene and they're helping us, and we get this kid on the stretcher and there's just brain matter everywhere, and get into the truck, and we had like a 6-minute ETA to the call, and our helicopter is like where we came from, so 6 minutes back. We made it in 3, cutting through town. Like luckily it was right there in town.
Yeah.
And I think we went out of one of our supervisors, he was there, and one of our other coworkers, and as soon as we offloaded the kid and they started taking off, like went back to the truck and we were sobbing.
Yeah, of course.
And our supervisor was sitting there like ready to hug us, like holding us. And we went back to the station and they let us go out of service for probably 3 hours, and we sat in the truck and just like cried. It was terrible.
Jesus, man.
And then later it was either that night or the next day, our big supervisor, like the vice president of the company I work for, he called me and was checking on us too.
That's good.
Yeah. That's the one thing I do like, is like all of our people care about us.
Sure. You have to, man. You know, Moses and I, we've talked about it on the show quite a bit, but we're both veterans. I mean, between the two of us, we spent like over 20 years in the military. And, dude, there's nothing worse than being on a bad team with people you don't trust.
That literally makes or breaks the entire situation.
Yeah. But when you got a good team, man, you can basically conquer the world, you know. So you deal with like all these traumatic stuff, which is it's just like a horrible. I don't know. I couldn't deal with that. And I've had like events in my life that were very traumatic, like life or death stuff that's happened to me, and so I can empathize. I can see kind of what you're talking about to a degree. And so for you guys, what happens then? Like you get back, they give you a couple hours to decompress, then you're just back on the road?
Yeah. Luckily, so the shift that I was on that day, well, most of our shifts are just like this though. Most of the people I work with, they helped us. They cleaned our truck.
Yeah.
Like literally, we were sitting in the front. One of them went and got food for us, and they came back and they cleaned our truck. And we have a washer and dryer at the station. One of the girls threw in like my hoodie and my partner's jacket that had rain on it and washed it for us. And they restocked for us. Like they helped us. It was great. And then I called my supervisor. I was like, okay, I guess we're ready for some calls now.
Yeah.
And then just went back out and ran more calls. And I think that was our first day of our 48, and it was like one of our first calls.
I mean, like in my mind, because I know, not to get too much into detail, I've talked about it a little bit on the show before, but I had some things, you know, that happened like when I was deployed in Iraq and stuff like that. And I mean, I remember not even being able to eat for several days later, you know, and it does something to the mind, and I don't know. It's seeing something very traumatic like that is very difficult to process, and yet no one knows how they're going to respond to it. Yeah. Everyone is different. I've seen people like scream and cry, and then I've seen people go shut down, stone cold, like nothing there, you know. Yeah. And so
me and my partner in the moment
cry and throw up type.
Yeah. In the moment we were the shut down, like we have a job to do.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah, because
for sure. But then
someone's got to be the adult.
Yeah.
It's the later time.
It's the after. We both definitely didn't sleep that night or the next night or, you know, a week after, 3 weeks after. Still, sometimes I wake up with nightmares from it.
For sure. I can imagine. Same here. Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto, kid. You know, and I'm thinking, it's been a long time since I've been there, so, you know, I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, it's probably just going to be a thing for a while. But, so I want to ask you, as a EMS, I know it's all privately contracted out, right? Where we're at. But as far as it goes for, like, y'all's healthcare, specifically mental health care, for, like, counseling and therapy and things of these nature, like, do you guys have the resources you need for that? I'm sorry, what?
No.
So,
no.
So you're on your own?
Yeah. And I found a lovely therapist. I love her. She's great. She calls me out on all my bullshit. It's great because I suppress everything.
Yeah, you need that. I have Moses for that. He just calls me on my shit all the time. So,
and she's like, "Hey, you have to talk about this." So I've gotten to the point where I can talk about it a little bit more now. Sure. But no, everything is we're on our own for that, which I think is crap. I think.
So they won't even pay for you to go see a therapist?
Nope. I don't think really any private EMS companies do that.
Okay, so now let's get on to this, because this is where it's going to get a little hairy for me. So EMS is privately funded, okay? Well, it's contracted out, okay? So it's a private organization, depending on what company is running it for whatever counties, okay?
Yeah.
That money that pays for that contract, where does that money come from?
That's a great question.
Taxpayers.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me you have frontline workers, like first responders, and they can't even get access to mental health care, dealing with the most traumatic and most devastating and serious things you can imagine?
Yes, and that is why the first responder suicide rate is insane.
Yeah, same thing with the military.
Yeah.
Yeah. Military, we're great at two things, suicides and sexual assaults.
Yeah. EMS is too.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of EMS guys probably were prior military.
Mm-hmm. So. We have quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or current.
Yeah, like the guard guys.
Oh, yeah, guard and reserves.
Yeah, they don't count.
Yeah.
It's a joke. It's a long time beef, okay? It was always like, because we were active duty, so like we always got to have beef with like the guard and the reserve guys, you know? Yeah. But no, they're all important. But that really like grinds my gears, man, to think about that, you know?
So is that all first responders? Like none of them have...
I can't speak for all. Okay. Just the private company we work for, yes. And most private companies are like that. Because honestly, like, we don't... the company as a whole doesn't get paid a lot, especially the area I work, because who pays their ambulance bills?
True.
Not people that don't have insurance, I can tell you that. And primarily that's what we're picking up is people without insurance. We make our money through transfers. So, like, if we take someone to the local hospital, they need a higher level of care, we'll transfer them down south. And that's where our money comes from, because to be transferred, you have to have some kind of insurance most of the time. Yeah. So it's all set up. Their insurance is set up. Like, but half the time we don't have the resources to run that because we're running 911s. Yeah. But yeah.
Dang, man. And so with all this being considered, I have to ask, you don't have to tell me what you make, but what kind of pay scale are you looking at as a paramedic?
Depending on where you are, you're looking at between $18 and $25 an hour.
It's pretty decent money, but...
Considering what you have to deal with.
Yeah, and considering you're probably going to have a lot of out-of-pocket mental health bills, you know?
Yeah. The overtime is great, though.
Sure, I bet. I love that. I'm just shooting money off.
Yeah, because we have 8 hours of built-in overtime at least a week. So, I mean, that part's good. Yeah. It pays for my therapy.
It's this vicious cycle you found yourself in.
Yeah.
The more
you have to keep working to pay for therapy, but the work makes you need therapy.
You can't get out of it. You're just completely trapped.
Exactly.
Oh, man. I want to ask you about it. There's one thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be about your company that you work with. It could be about anybody's. It could just be EMS in general. If there's one thing about the industry that you could change for the better, what do you think it would be?
Well, I think all EMS people should have access to therapy that's paid for. Yeah. That's like in-house therapy even. Like, if they wanted to offer that, that'd be great too. That's actually something my therapist and I have been talking about. But also just like the ability to keep yourself safe and protection while on the truck. Yeah. Because that is one thing we lack. We're first responders too. We show up on scene just like police, not knowing what we're going into.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to get onto, because it's like, you know, you pick up a 260-pound methed out man who's coming up swinging and trying to attack or whatever. Maybe he's in some like drug-induced state of psychosis, whatever it may be. Who knows? It could be on PCP. Those guys flip cars over with their bare hands.
Yeah, like, flip the ambulance.
And then it's like, is there any parameters in check, like to keep you guys safe? I mean,
at that point we can leave. We can be like, hey, get the police out here. We're not It's not safe for us.
But you're not allowed to actually have a weapon on you, correct?
No,
okay.
We cannot.
So you show up unarmed to a situation you have no idea what's going on there, and you're just kind of on your own.
Yep.
I feel like at a minimum they should be allowed to have like maybe just in the cab like pepper spray.
Something.
You know, like a taser. You know? I think this is a reasonable thing. I don't think they're gonna come out there with a Glock 9 ready to
like just blasting meth heads. Like,
boom, cleaning up the county. Boom, we're taking this out.
He's never calling us again.
I mean, we have a really heavy oxygen tank, so allegedly, if I needed to beat someone up, I could get the oxygen tank and just... I wouldn't do that unless I had to, but no, we're not allowed to carry anything like that. We have shears, like trauma shears.
Oh,
like
to cut the clothing and stuff?
Like, give me your finger.
I don't know, man. I'd be...
So if the situation is dangerous, you have to essentially just go to your vehicle and call for police?
And leave.
Or just leave?
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. I mean, that's what I would do, too. I ain't sticking around with unarmed. There's no way I'd just sit there and wait to get hurt.
Yeah.
A bunch of crystal meth tweakers.
Yeah. They can't feel pain.
So, do you have any calls that you've taken that you would find are like... Which, anytime someone's calling like EMS, it's not a fun time, at least for them. But, like, do you have any calls where you're just kind of like, this is ridiculous, like this is kind of funny? Like, did someone eat too many weed brownies by accident?
We've had a bunch of those, yes, yes. One of my favorites, this was when I was still a basic.
Yeah.
We got called out to this, he does a lot of coke and I think PCP too, and like, he gets super paranoid. Super paranoid.
Rightfully so.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do, bud. So we were in the back of the truck, and he always like walked out. His family lived there. I don't know if they didn't know he was doing it. He would just call in the middle of the night and come out. Okay, cool. What's going on today, pal? I can't breathe. I'm sure you can't. What did you do? Nothing. Okay, come on. So, and then he's like, I need to go, start tripping things off. And then...
He's getting hot.
Yeah. My partner was behind him in, like, the little captain's chair behind the stretcher. Mm-hmm. He stands up, lunges at this girl, and I ain't never seen this girl move this fast before, but she bolted out the back of the truck, and I think I was getting ready to drive. I think we were about to leave.
Yeah.
And she bolts out, and he's chasing her. He's chasing her. This man is 6'3" and like 250.
Cracked out.
And my partner is like 5'2", like little girl, and just chasing. So then he bolts out the back after and starts running in circles around his yard. And she's at the front of the truck, like, where is he? I'm like, don't worry, he's back there doing circles. Come get in. Yeah. So we get in.
Literally chasing the dragon right now.
Literally. So we start backing up to get out of this, start going down the driveway, and all of a sudden, he comes up beside me. And I'm like, oh, God. And he jumps on, like, our side mirror and is hanging on, beating on the window, like, and I'm like... What do I do? She flips on the siren, he jumps, and then he starts chasing our truck down the rest of the driveway, and we turn and he's still chasing it. And I'm like, okay, we're getting away from this man.
You're like, obviously this man can breathe.
Dude, it just seems like something out of like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, or like Reno 911.
That's a good one. Dude, I was actually watching that earlier, waiting on all this to start today.
I love that show.
God, it's hilarious, man. Oh, dude. Okay, so I do have a question for you, okay? So, I know a little bit about HIPAA, okay? If I was to call EMS, okay, and say, hey, I think I'm having a heart attack, if I told you, like, yes, I've been doing a bunch of drugs, here they are, here's what I've been doing, can you guys tell the police that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's one thing that, like, I think an addict, a user fears, like, I'm going to get in legal trouble.
Yeah.
So don't say anything. So can I tell you that? I mean, it's probably better I do tell you so you know how to treat it.
Yeah.
You know?
I honestly don't know. I never really tell the police.
So, like, if you're in your own home smoking some meth, you feel bad, you can tell them and probably be okay.
Yeah.
Like, as long as there's no, like, aside from doing the drugs, there's no other like, no one else is getting hurt, I guess.
Yeah. As long as, like, if you've done the drugs and they're not on you, it's fine.
So the answer to this,
toss the bag out
flush
first.
the stash,
Flush the stash and then call. Because doing them's not illegal. It's
dude, I I don't know how
Possessing
many
having
them.
them. Yeah, yeah.
Possessing them.
Somebody's gonna watch this and be paranoid as hell. Dude, I cannot call paramedics.
We don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care that you did the drugs. I swear.
Yeah, because you're not law enforcement.
Because I'm not gonna do anything.
And I don't even think half those guys even care anyway. To be quite honest with you, they're just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like as long as you're not causing problems for other people, man, do whatever in your house.
As long as
Yeah.
you're not publicly intoxicated,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
And don't freak out and waste their time either. But
Yeah.
freak out, I can't handle it. So, I wanted to ask you. So, you've seen the controversial rise in popularity of psychedelics, like specifically LSD and psilocybin mushrooms. There's talks of ayahuasca and even DMT for therapeutic uses for things like depression and trauma and addiction and all this other stuff. Have you dealt with any cases of people calling EMS that have been just whacked out of their mind on psychedelics and just lost their shit?
No, I haven't had anyone on psychedelics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, whenever you do, let me know.
I will.
I'd like to hear that story. Because
hey, that's score one for legalization, right?
Yeah. Hey,
no
you know
no
what?
issues, just saying.
All the
Just
other
saying,
stuff.
it's only meth.
Yeah.
All the other stuff.
And we've had very few like opiate overdoses too.
That's the one thing I wanted to get on too, because is it fair to say we're kind of coming out of the opiate crisis now? I mean, it's still a problem in America, but it's not as bad as it was 10 years ago.
Hopefully not, unless everyone's switched to fentanyl, which I don't know. That's
know.
still like the threat, but I don't know if it's more of a boogeyman scenario or if there's a legitimate factor in it.
Yeah.
I know as far as like big cities it is, but as
It's
rural
been a
areas
while
I'm
since
not sure.
It's been a while since we looked at data on that.
Yeah.
We need to get back into that. But so you hear about the opiate crisis in America, which I don't know if you know the story of how that all came to be and everything. It's actually like a really crazy story. And there's actually a really good book called The Empire of Pain. If you want to read it, if you want to know everything about that, how they created basically an opiate crisis in America, read that book. But it was this one family, multi-billionaires. They were very diversified in all kinds of things. And they had a company, and it was a Sackler family, and they created OxyContin.
Oh.
And so OxyContin is, at the time, basically over-the-counter. Well, I say over-the-counter. You had to go to a pharmacy to get it. But pretty much was the most powerful opiate you could have. Mm-hmm. And then the way that molecule is structured, it attacks the opiate receptor in your brain in a very unique way that makes it super addicting. It's like crazy addicting.
And their main selling point was telling people that it's not addictive.
Yes. And so then they lobbied with the FDA and they bribed people and all this other crap. And they literally were like, it's not addictive, it's safe. And before they got shut down, the FBI eventually ended up getting involved in this. Before they got shut down, they were literally making plans to manufacture OxyContin for children.
Oh, God.
And some of the milligram doses they were giving were insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, even like hardcore addicts would not want to give this to someone like this, you know? So, anyway, those dudes, they get hemmed up, they get in court, and no one sees a day in prison. They literally, all these like these tens of thousands of people who have died and then like the families that are affected by it, like these guys just walked. Like, and it's just, that's going to last
And keep their money.
generations.
Oh, yeah. That's the power of money.
And here's the thing, man. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. Don't quote me. I want to say they made $19 billion of OxyContin. They paid a $7 billion fine. That was it. And they walked away. No one went to prison.
That's insane.
Yeah. So then now, basically, the FDA did a huge overhaul. They freaking clamped down on, like, drugs. And then it became, like, difficult to get anything.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
you
the
know, like,
people
when you actually
that need it can't
Yeah.
get it.
You know?
But the people that don't need it are out there doing it
Yeah.
and overdosing.
And I'm like, where are you guys getting it? You know,
Yeah.
like whatever it may be. And that goes for like Xanax and stuff too, except for Adderall. Everyone seems to have that crap these days. Jesus.
I mean, that's a stimulant.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
But so yeah, man. So then you have like all these people that have this opiate crisis, and then there's no supply. Mm-hmm. Well, who steps in?
Drug dealer.
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in, because fentanyl
The
is actually
Chinese.
the Chinese, and they make it in China. And I can go on a huge rant about this. I've read a lot of like legit books about this, man. But if you look into it, it is chemical warfare the Chinese are putting on America.
But again, nobody's holding a gun to the user's head.
Nope, that is true. So, I don't know, man, but I'm surprised you're not seeing a lot of opiate cases is what I'm getting at.
I've seen, I think, maybe 2 in the 3 years that I've
now,
been
was
doing
it
this?
pills or was it like smack, like heroin?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as soon as, like, I've seen 2 to the point where I've had to, like, Narcan to get them to wake up. And they always, I didn't take anything.
as soon as they wake up, they're telling you they didn't take shit, and you're like, it only works for one thing.
It only
They're afraid
works
of the
for
cops,
opiates.
man.
It's literally reverses your opiate use, sir.
Yeah.
That's not right. It's okay, I promise. At least you're not dead. We
You want
see.
to know what's crazy? I can't remember because it's been so long since I read this book. But that family that created OxyContin, because it was a family of
Also
doctors.
created Narcan?
Created Narcan.
Of course. They said,
They got it from both ends.
Yeah.
wild.
Now that's good business.
And they're still walking around, man, like investing money. But it's just like,
So I should have done things
I get really
different.
mad about it, man. Like, so I read really deep about the family that created OxyContin. I mean, it's like a 600-700 page book. Like, it's a massive
Wow.
book. And then there was this, the investigative journalist called Ben Westhoff. He wrote a book called Fentanyl Inc. It's actually a really good book. I highly recommend everyone reads it. And he just studies the opiate crisis in America from cradle to grave.
Oh, nice.
And he starts with like a couple of cases of kids. Well, he focuses on synthetic drugs, really. But he focuses on a couple of cases that were really famous in Michigan where kids had smoked Spice, K2, synthetic cannabinoids, and literally entered a state of psychosis and freaking stabbed a girl to death. And then they found this like teenage kid just walking down the highway just covered in blood in his underwear. And he was like, okay, so how did we get here? And then he just tracks it back. And doing investigative journalist techniques, he goes through all these supply chains, all these dealers and everything, and guess where he ends up? In a chemical lab in Wuhan, China.
Oh, wow.
And he said he walked in, and it was the biggest pile of fentanyl you could ever see in your life, just sitting there under heat lamps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, directly to be shipped to America. And then they cracked down, and they were like, okay, they did the UN kind of got involved. They put like sanctions. There were sanctions placed on China selling these chemicals. So China was like, okay, we're not gonna sell them. So then they just started selling the precursors. So it's like mix equal parts A, equal parts B, put it in some hot water for a little while, dry it out. Bam, now you got fentanyl. And so they were shipping these to drug cartels in Mexico. And then they were sending chemists over from China to train them how to make this stuff. So, but it was all legal. So they were actually making the fentanyl in Mexico. Then they were pushing it through the southern border. And here's what's the crazy part. The southern border is so locked down now. It is so risky for these. They're called DTOs, drug trafficking organizations. About 17 of them, cartels. It is so risky and so difficult for them to get anything across the border now. That's not cost effective to do so. So they literally will fly it and boat it into Vancouver, Canada. And then they come through our northern border now.
Wild.
Yeah, and I just watched an interview with the director of the FBI was talking about it.
Because we're only going to close one border instead of
Yeah.
all of them. Make it make sense.
Yeah, so it's if you really want to get back into like the hardcore history of like opiates and how it really came to be like in the Western world and stuff, you need to go back and look at the Opium Wars. And essentially in China, like they don't mess with drugs like at all. Like it is a death sentence. So no one does them over there. It's really, really just aside from the fact that it literally is a death sentence, it's really frowned upon, and they don't like it because of the Opium Wars that happened. So the British, through the East Indian Trading Company, they were literally taking opium and selling it into China. And at one point, China's population, like 25 to 30%, I believe, was highly addicted to opium. Opium is a precursor to morphine, by the way. Well, morphine is in opium, but it's a purification. No, I'm not trying to get into the weeds and the chemistry stuff. So anyway, like the Chinese government literally begged the Brits. They were like, "Stop doing this. Like it is like
You're killing our people."
Yeah. And they wouldn't. They just kept pumping more and more and more. And so there's this weird mentality, like with the Chinese Communist Party now, where they're just like push drugs onto the Western world. Yeah, that's really what it is. That's what it all comes down to.
And money.
Yeah,
the money.
It's always money.
The money helps.
Yeah, you got to grease those wheels, baby. So, anyway, yeah, that's a little education there for you. Yeah, I did a huge dive in it a while back, man. I went deep in the weeds and seeds. I was like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
We see a lot of synthetic. We see K2, especially in the prison.
Oh, okay. I was like,
you get
K2's still around?
Yeah, we see it a lot in the prison.
I've heard of this. I know a CO, and he was telling me how they spray it on the letters that they get. So they'll take a lot of these synthetic cannabinoids like K2 and stuff, when they're initially made, they're actually in a liquid form, right? And so what they'll do is they'll put them in like spray bottles and they'll spray like letters and postcards, and then they'll mail them to the prisoner, and that's how the prisoners get it.
That's wild.
And then because they're synthetic cannabinoids, and it's actually really easy. There's a thing you can do with like, basically you can do like isomerization, which is changing the structure of the molecule, or you can create an analog, which is very simple, where you can just like add a hydrogen atom to this molecule or add an oxygen atom. Doesn't seem like much, but it can have crazy effects, and no one knows what it is because it
Let me just pull this hydrogen atom out of my
Yeah.
pocket.
It's a lot easier than what you think. But so these prisoners are getting these drugs, and they're hard to test for because the chemicals are rapidly changing. Constantly.
Yeah, that was why it was so rampant in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like, you can't smoke weed, but you can smoke whatever the hell this stuff is.
And I actually have like a true story. You probably remember this. I don't know if you were in yet when this happened. You might have been. I don't know. I'll tell the story. You'll know what I'm talking about. So first base, I was stationed in Alaska, dude. Okay, I'm young, dude. I'm like 20 years old. I don't think I can drink yet. Okay,
Moose on the front porch.
Yeah. And so up there, they were selling Spice K2 in every gas station and every single smoke shop and everywhere you wanted to go. And technically, it was legal in the military. Like for a little while, like there was no legit verbiage like in any regulation that said you couldn't do it. And so because of Spice and K2, they actually changed it and put a blanket statement in there that says all mind-altering substances. So because of this. So people were like, young people were like smoking it and doing stupid shit. And I remember like our command, they had a huge base-wide email. Like it went out across the entire DoD. And they were like, there is chemists that work for the Army that have developed a drug test for this. They are going to implement it across the entire DoD. This is your fair warning. Stop doing it. And a lot of people got testy. And then just one day, man, I'm sitting there, I'm laying in bed, right? And like normally I have to be at work at like 7, so I'm getting up like 6, I can be there by 7. Dude, it's like 4:30 in the morning. Boom, 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 boom on the door, dude. I'm like, what is going on? Like I'm like terrified because I'm not in any kind of training. This should not be happening right now. Like this is my home, dude. and so, but I'm living in like the dorms, the barracks, whatever you want to call them. And so I open the door, and it's all these senior enlisted people, like high-ranking people and officers, and they were like, "Get dressed and come downstairs immediately." And I was like, "Whoa!" They were like, "Bring your ID card," and they had buses lined up, and they had every one of us get on the bus. And as soon as we got on the bus, they took our military ID, and the only way you got it back was when you pissed in a cup. And they bussed us to this massive theater, locked us all in there, and there was like 600 people in there. And they didn't let a single person leave until you provide a urine sample.
Oh,
They
wow.
kicked like 40 people out for smoking Spice.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wild.
And I was just like, God, this is wild. But then I was just kind of like, how stupid do you got to be, man? They literally gave you like a 60-day warning. They were like, hey, we know some of you are being stupid. Like, can you just not do this anymore? And then I guess they thought they were smarter than the system.
Oh my
You know?
god.
Because then people were like, they'd be like, like, oh, it's like regular weed. And they're like, oh, well, you can smoke it one time. And if you have a high metabolism, maybe it could be out of your system in like a week or something like that. Drink a lot of water. A lot of it's just myths and bullshit, to be quite honest with you. But the thing is those analogs, those cannabinoids, the synthetic ones, no one really knows like how long they stay in your system and what they do. They don't even know what the permanent effects of it are.
Yeah, and again, it's all different per person, so no one knows, and you can't go off of what someone else did because you don't know how the hell you're going to react or how long it's going to stay in your system either.
Yeah. So
Talk about rolling the dice.
yeah, living
Yeah.
living large, man.
Do you love your life? I don't know.
Okay. But all right, let's talk about what you got in the truck though. Ketamine. Where is it? I need it now.
That is locked away in my narcotics box, along with the fentanyl and the morphine and the Versed.
You have fentanyl in there?
We do.
For what?
Pain management. We microdose it. It is safe.
So are you giving like 2 mics or something like that?
No.
Per nanogram?
I think it's a mic per kilogram. 1 mic per.
Oh, so you're basing it on body weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, I just, depending on how, like, if the patient's big, okay, 100 mics.
Yeah.
Everyone looks 200 kilograms.
Dang. That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
So I had a buddy of mine that I talked to. He worked in EMS for a while, and he was telling me that you guys like legitimately have ketamine in there. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like really? And he was like, no, dude. He was like, it's a disassociative. Mm-hmm. He was like, so if someone say someone has like a femoral like compound fracture, like bone sticking out of their leg or something, you can hit them with ketamine, and they'll be aware of what's going on.
But they're not going to remember it.
But they're not going to care. Like their mind is out of their body. Like they do not. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, dude.
So with a lot of like those type of fractures, like the fentanyl's not really going to touch it. The morphine's not really going to touch it. But to use our ketamine, we have to contact our medical director. Doctor.
So there's like checks and balances and stuff. Yeah.
Ketamine.
Don't just pick up a friend. Hey man, hook me up.
Yeah. No, there's for the ketamine only. There's very specific like things we have to do for that. Yeah. And we can only give it under medical direction. I don't really know the whole like story on that. I know we were on we're on back order for ketamine for a while. I don't know if that's still what it is.
Well, do you want to hear that story? I mean, I studied chemistry in college. So
yeah,
you
tell me
this?
Why I can't use ketamine.
Why you can't get it? Because there's only one lab on the face of the planet that makes it, and no one really knows where that lab's at.
Oh, perfect.
It's somewhere in India. And, they know the company that makes it, but their synthesis is not published, and they keep it quiet. So there is, like, synthesis to create ketamine in small batches, but there is no published patented document. There's no patent for like mass production of it, but there's only one company like out of India. It's the parent company's out of India, and they're super shady about it. Yeah, and they don't want to tell anyone how to do it because they got the special K on lock.
The only thing that sucks about not being able to use Oprah's making it.
Well, it came out the other day that Elon Musk supposedly was on like all kinds of psychedelics.
Yeah, Trump's been accusing him of that, but
yeah, dude. So with your career in EMS, you've been doing it for a few years. Do you want to take it further? Like, are you considering like maybe doing nursing or anything like that, or?
Nursing isn't taking it further.
I don't know. If you go get like a BSN or something.
I mean, yeah, I get paid more and it furthers my career, but my scope of practice. Listen, my scope of practice as a paramedic, I can do way more than a nurse. I just want everyone to know that. Yeah. I can literally. I started this whenever I was 19, 20. Yeah. I might not have been able to drink legally, but now I can paralyze someone and take away their airway and give them a new one if I wanted to. A nurse can't do that.
That's pretty cool. If I ever end up like seriously like messed up or like really sick, I'll just call you and be like, hey, is this something I should be worried about?
Yes.
My brain hurts.
Yeah. Drive yourself to the urgent doc in the morning.
But I think it's important, man, what you do. I think first responders really are like a big part of our society, and I think they're some of the most important people. And police, firefighters, EMS, all of that stuff. And it's just kind of like sad to see like how like underfunded they kind of are, and I mean the contracts go to the lowest bidder, and that comes at a cost, and you guys can't get proper. You can't even see a therapist, man.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but I don't know. I like what you're doing. I think it's good. Keep it up, man.
I do want to further my career, though. I do want to be a nurse. I have one class left until I can start the nursing program.
You just talked all this shit.
No, look, if I'm going to be miserable, I'm going to get paid more to be miserable.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm considering going to nursing school at AC. We'll go together.
I'm not going to AC.
Yeah, I'm just going
I'm doing the paramedic to RN Bridge.
Okay, I got you.
In Lone Star.
Yeah.
Kingwood has that.
Yeah, I got you. I'm looking at just changing some stuff up. Do something a little different. So, who knows? I might get in there and be like, I hate this. I never want to do it.
Honestly.
I don't know. You got any more questions, Moses?
So if a person out of high school asked you would they suggest you do what they do, or they do what you do, would you recommend your profession to a person?
I would. I'd recommend it. We're very understaffed. Come apply at my job. No, I recommend it. It's definitely like being first on scene, getting to deal with that. It's a lot of fun, and sometimes not fun, but very rewarding.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To an extent.
Yeah, for sure. Until you're dealing with 300-pound crackheads.
Yeah, that too.
Well, I don't know. Listen, Sabrina, we appreciate you coming out, talking to us, man. Give us a little insight into the EMS world and the pros and the cons of it.
Wait, we still haven't discussed the difference between a basic and a paramedic.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Let me explain this before we leave.
You're not letting us get off easy.
No. A basic, like I said, is a semester of school. However, your scope of practice is way different. So a basic can take basic vitals, obtain a 12 lead, but not interpret it. And mainly they drive.
Okay.
Drive. Now, paramedic, we can do IVs, we can intubate. I can paralyze you and give you a new airway. Don't worry, I won't paralyze you without sedating you. Don't want you to be paralyzed and lucid. That would suck. And then we give all types of medications through an IV.
It'd be terrifying.
It's like a sleep paralysis demon minus being asleep.
Yeah, you just eyes wide open.
It's like my biggest fear.
What drug is it that paralyzes people?
We have 3. We have succinylcholine, rocuronium, and vecuronium.
I've heard of the succinylcholine. It was on Forensic Files. They were using it to kill people. And they were like slipping it in there because it doesn't show up apparently. They were like,
apparently not.
Well,
Allegedly,
okay,
there's not many toxicology places that can trace it. I think it was succinylcholine.
Yeah,
we're just
I've
gonna
heard
that.
Allegedly. Crazy.
Giving tips on like capital murder here, dude. You know?
No, but so I can give those medications through an IV, and while a basic can only give like Tylenol, Zofran, orally.
Yeah, dude.
And aspirin. Yeah.
You gotta keep them hoes in check.
Sure do. Sure. No, my basic keeps me in check.
Yeah. I tell them real. I'd use this line, but you come with the king, you better not miss. Don't get in there and drive. Chop, chop.
No, he keeps me in line. He keeps me. He's Sabrina. Come on, focus. What are you doing? Oh, yeah.
Your ADHD is just oozing out of your head.
There's a squirrel. There's a moth in the truck. Sabrina. Yeah. CPR, got it.
All right, man. I think it's about time to wrap it up, dude.
I think so.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. We got stuff we got to do. But Sabrina, thanks for coming by, man. Educating us on this world, dude. It's a difficult one. It's not easy. It's important. We like it. You got our support. You know.
Got my antidepressants and my therapy.
There you go. I mean,
we hope one day it'll get paid for.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That'd be great.
I mean, I think a big part of like solving any problem is first admitting that there is one, and so by doing stuff like this, people they get to watch it, they get to know something they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so that's out there now. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.